powerful. Sometimes it looks like slow, painful steps. Your family may doubt you, your friends may lose faith in you, and the world might laugh at you, but as long as you are breathing, you have a chance to get back up. Nobody respects a quitter, but everybody respects somebody who refuses to give up no matter how many times they fall. When life knocks you down, remember that God sees you. He's not judging you for being down. He's watching to see if you have the faith to rise again. The comeback is always stronger than the setback, but you have to get up to experience it. Pain is part of the process. Struggle is part of the fight, but defeat is not final unless you let it be. The moment you decide to rise again, you tell life, you can't control me, I'm bigger than this moment. That's where your breakthrough starts, when you refuse to stay down. Every time you rise after being knocked down, you grow stronger. Every time you refuse to quit, you build character. Life's punches are meant to test your will, but when you rise again, you prove that nothing can keep you buried. Pain feels permanent when you are in it. The nights feel long, the tears feel endless, and the weight feels unbearable. It can make you think that this is how your life will always be, that suffering is your new identity, but pain lies to you. It convinces you it will last forever, but it won't. Every wound you have ever had has eventually healed. Some left scars, but the pain didn't last. That's the truth of life. What feels unbearable today will one day be a memory tomorrow. Pain passes, but God doesn't. He remains constant when everything else is unstable. God's promises don't expire just because you are hurting. He doesn't abandon you in pain. He uses it. Every tear you have cried, every sleepless night you have endured, every prayer whispered through brokenness, it all gets stored up by God. Nothing you have gone through is wasted. Think about all the times you thought you wouldn't make it, but you did. Those moments were painful, but you are still here. That's proof that pain is temporary. What tried to break you failed. What wanted to destroy didn't win. That's because God is bigger than pain. Pain also teaches you. It humbles you, makes you more compassionate, and sharpens your perspective. People who have never suffered don't have depth, but those who have walked through fire come out with wisdom and strength. Your pain is shaping you into someone stronger than before. The world wants you to believe that pain means you are cursed, but in reality, pain means you are being prepared. God doesn't waste suffering. He uses it as the soil for your growth. Your character is being built in the middle of your struggle. Temporary pain leads to permanent strength. What feels unbearable today will one day be the reason you are stronger tomorrow. Our God is eternal, and when you put your hope in Him, you begin to see pain for what it is, a chapter, not the whole book. One of the hardest parts of life is waiting. You pray, you hope, you believe, but nothing seems to move. Doors stay closed, opportunities pass, and it feels like God is silent. That's where most people quit. They assume God said no, when in reality, He just said not yet. Delay is one of God's most powerful tools. If He gave you everything you asked for right now, you wouldn't be ready for it. You might misuse it, waste it, or lose it. God loves you too much to give you something before you are prepared to handle it. Sometimes the delay is not about you. It's about aligning other people, other circumstances, other opportunities. God is working in ways you can't see, putting the right people in place and removing the wrong ones, making sure when the door opens, it's the right one. A delay also tests your faith. Anybody can believe when things are moving fast, but can you still trust God when He seems slow? That's where your character grows, in the silence, in the waiting, in the delay. Waiting produces endurance, and endurance builds faith. Denial means something is not for you, but delay means it's just not time yet. There's a big difference. Many people walk away too soon because they couldn't tell the difference. They thought God said no when He was saying, hold on. Think about it. If you planted a seed today and came back tomorrow, would you dig it up because it didn't grow overnight? No. You'd water it, nurture it, and trust the process. That's the same with your prayers. Just because you don't see growth doesn't mean nothing is happening. When you learn to wait, you develop patience. When you develop patience, you grow stronger. And when the time is right, what you have been waiting for won't just arrive. It will come better than you ever imagined. Struggles are not signs of weakness. They are signs of life. If you feel pressure, if you feel resistance, if you feel like everything is coming against you, that means you are still moving. Dead things don't struggle. Only the living fight back. Your struggle is proof that you are still in the game, that you haven't surrendered, that you are not done yet. When you are in the middle of the fight, it's easy to believe you are losing just because it hurts. But pain doesn't always mean defeat. Sometimes pain is just the evidence that you are stretching, growing, and pushing beyond what you thought was possible. Muscles don't grow without resistance, and character doesn't grow without struggle. Think about it. If you weren't chasing something greater, you wouldn't even feel the struggle. The enemy doesn't waste energy on people who aren't a threat. The reason you are being attacked, the reason it feels so heavy, the reason the weight won't let up is because there's something valuable inside you worth fighting for. Struggle shows you are carrying destiny. Every fight you face is shaping you into someone stronger. You might not like the process, but it's necessary. Diamonds are formed under pressure, and warriors are forged in battle. Your struggles are training you, preparing you, and sharpening you for the very thing you have been praying for. Some people gave up when it got hard, and you have seen them. They quit on their dreams. They quit on themselves. They quit on God. And you can see the emptiness in their eyes because they chose comfort over the fight. But you are still standing, still swinging, still holding on. That alone makes you a fighter. Sometimes the struggle is mental, sometimes it's physical, and sometimes it's spiritual. But no matter what form it takes, the fact that you haven't surrendered yet is proof that you have still got fire in you. Every day you wake up and face the battle, you prove to yourself that you are built to endure. Your struggle is evidence that you are not finished. It's not a punishment. It's a sign that you still have purpose. If you were done, there would be no fight left in you. The very fact that you feel the resistance means you still have more to give, more to build, and more to become. Faith isn't about believing when everything lines up, when the money is flowing, when the doors are open, and when life feels easy. Anybody can believe in those moments because the evidence is right in front of them. Real faith shows up when there's no evidence, when nothing looks possible, when every circumstance screams, give up. That's where faith becomes real, when you choose to believe even though you can't see the outcome. It's easy to say I have faith when you already got the job, when the healing already came, when the blessing already showed up. But what about when you are broke, sick, or waiting? What about when you have been praying for years and nothing seems to change? Faith is not tested in comfort. It's tested in uncertainty. That's where you discover whether you truly trust God. Faith is walking into the unknown with nothing but trust in God's word. It's moving forward even when your vision is blurry and your steps feel shaky. Faith doesn't need proof to move. It just needs obedience. You don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need to trust that the next step is solid. That's faith in action. Think about how many times in your life you didn't know how it was going to work out, but somehow it did. That wasn't luck. That wasn't coincidence. That was faith carrying you through. God has already proven to you that he can open doors that don't exist, provide when there's nothing left, and make a way when the road is blocked. You have already seen his track record. Faith also requires patience. It means waiting even when your heart is restless, even when your mind is filled with doubts. It's refusing to let your emotions dictate your belief. Faith says, I may not see it yet, but I know it's coming. I may not feel it yet, but I know it's real. It's holding on in the silence, trusting that God's timing is perfect, even when it feels late. You have got to understand, faith is like a muscle. It only grows when it's challenged. If everything were always easy, if everything always came instantly, you'd never need faith. That's why God allows seasons of struggle and uncertainty, so your faith can be built stronger, so you can learn to depend on him and not just on what you see. When you live by sight alone, you are limited to what's in front of you. But when you live by faith, you tap into the unlimited. Sight shows you the obstacle, but faith shows you the breakthrough. Sight shows you the closed door, but faith shows you the hand of God reaching for the key. Sight shows you the pain, but faith shows you the promise. Fear is one of the loudest voices you will ever hear. It whispers to you late at night, telling you you are not good enough. You will never make it. You will fail if you try. Fear feeds on your doubts and magnifies your insecurities. If you let it, fear will control every decision you make and rob you of the life you are meant to live. Fear doesn't need to chain your body. It just needs to chain your mind. Most people never chase their dreams, not because they don't have the talent, not because they don't have the resources, but because they let fear convince them to stay safe. They stay in jobs they hate, relationships that drain them, and situations that kill their spirit simply because fear tells them it's too risky to leave. But the truth is, fear is a liar. It only has the power you give it. Think about all the things you have missed out on in life because of fear. Opportunities you didn't take, words you didn't say, chances you let slip away. Fear will have you living in regret, not because you couldn't win, but because you never even tried. You can't let fear write the story of your life, because fear will always write small. Fear always exaggerates. It makes problems look bigger than they are. It tells you that you will fail before you even begin. It convinces you that the worst will happen when most of the time it never does. Faith says, what if it works? But fear says, what if it doesn't? You have to decide which voice you will listen to, because both are speaking, but only one leads to freedom. The truth is, courage is not the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite it. Nobody who ever achieved anything great did it without fear. They just decided fear wouldn't control them. You might feel fear in your chest, but your feet still have to move. You might feel fear in your mind, but your hands still have to build. If you wait for fear to disappear before you act, you will wait your whole life. Fear doesn't leave. You learn to move with it. You learn to tell yourself, yes, I'm scared, but I'm going anyway. Yes, I'm nervous, but I'm stepping out anyway. Fear loses its power the moment you stop obeying it. Fear will either be the wall that blocks you or the fuel that pushes you. The choice is yours. When you decide not to let fear run your life, you take back your power. You stop letting your emotions control you and start letting your faith guide you. Fear may knock, but it doesn't have to get the final say. Hope is what keeps you steady when everything around you is shaking. Life has storms that will toss you back and forth, trying to drown you in worry, fear, and disappointment. Without hope, you drift aimlessly, letting the waves decide your direction. But when you hold on to hope, it anchors you. It gives you stability, even when the storm doesn't let up. There will be days when you wake up feeling like you can't take another step, like the weight of the world is too heavy. Hope whispers, just keep going. Hope is that quiet voice inside that reminds you the pain won't last forever, that the sun always comes after the night, that joy always follows sorrow. Hope doesn't remove the struggle, but it gives you the strength to endure it. People who lose hope start to lose themselves. They stop trying, stop believing, stop living with purpose. That's why hope is so powerful. It keeps you alive on the inside, even when everything on the outside looks dead. Hope keeps you looking forward instead of backward. And that shift in perspective is the difference between surviving and giving up. Hope also allows you to see beyond the problem. Without hope, all you can see is the obstacle in front of you. But with hope, you can envision the future that lies on the other side of the obstacle. You start to picture your healing instead of just your sickness, your success instead of just your failures, your blessing instead of just your struggle. Hope paints a bigger picture. It's easy to hope when life is good, but the real test of hope is when everything looks hopeless. That's when hope becomes powerful, when it's not backed up by what you see, but by what you believe. Hope says, I don't see it yet, but I know it's coming. Hope says to let current circumstances dictate your future. Hope is contagious too. When you carry hope, people around you feel it. They see the light in your eyes even when things aren't perfect, and it encourages them not to give up. Your hope might be the very thing that inspires someone else to keep fighting. That's why you can't afford to lose it. It's bigger than just you. Hope is not wishful thinking. It's a confident expectation. It's not about crossing your fingers and hoping things get better. It's about knowing deep down that better is possible, that better is coming, that better is already being prepared for you. That kind of hope doesn't just anchor your soul, it strengthens it. One of the hardest things in life is believing God is moving when everything around you looks still. You pray, but the silence feels louder than the prayer. You work, but the results don't show up. You cry out, but it feels like the heavens are quiet. That's when faith is tested, because even though you can't see it, God is still working behind the scenes. Just because you don't see movement doesn't mean there isn't progress. Think about when you plant a seed. For weeks, nothing shows above the soil, but underground, Roots are forming, strength is building, life is happening where your eyes can't reach. That's exactly how God works. He builds the roots before he reveals the fruit. Sometimes God hides his work because if you saw it too soon, you might interfere. You might try to control it, rush it, or shape it into what you think it should be. So he works in silence, moving people, aligning circumstances, and arranging things that are out of your reach. His hand is moving in ways your eyes can't comprehend. Think about the moments in your past when you thought God was silent, but later you realized he was protecting you. That job you didn't get, that relationship that ended, that door that slammed shut, you thought it was rejection, but it was redirection. Looking back, you see his fingerprints all over those moments, even when you couldn't see them at the time. You don't need to see proof to know God is working. That's where trust comes in. Trust says, I may not see it, but I know it's happening. I may not understand it, but I know it's for my good. Trust shifts your focus from frustration to expectation, from worry to worship. God's work is often quiet, but is never absent. While you are sleeping, he's moving. While you are stressing, he's arranging. While you are crying, he's preparing. Just because he doesn't send you a daily update doesn't mean nothing is happening. His silence is not inactivity. It's a strategy. Every closed door, every delay, every detour is part of the plan. The same God who parts seas and calms storms is the same God working on your behalf right now. You may not see the evidence yet, but one day everything he's been doing in the dark will be revealed in the light, and you will realize he was working all along. Life has a way of knocking you back when you least expect it. You thought you were moving forward, and suddenly everything fell apart. That job you counted on slipped through your fingers. That relationship you thought would last forever crumbled. That plan you worked on for years fell apart overnight. In those moments, it feels like everything is over. But the truth is, what feels like a setback is often the very thing setting you up for something greater. A setback doesn't mean you are finished. It means you are being repositioned. Sometimes God has to pull you back the way an archer pulls back an arrow. It feels like you are moving backward, but really you are being launched further than you could have imagined. That tension, that resistance, that painful pull, it's all building momentum for your breakthrough. When things fall apart, it doesn't always mean you did something wrong. Sometimes it means you are being redirected toward what's truly meant for you. That closed door wasn't punishment, it was protection. That delay wasn't rejection, it was preparation. You thought it was the end, but it was the middle of the story. Think about some of the greatest comebacks you have seen in life. Athletes who were counted out but returned stronger. People who lost everything only to rebuild something even greater. Individuals who were broken down but came back with more fire than ever. None of those comebacks would have been possible without the setback that came first. Your struggle, your loss, your failure, it's not wasted. Every tear you cried, every sleepless night you endured, every moment you thought about quitting, it's all part of the setup. You are not just being broken, you are being built. You are not being buried, you are being planted. What looks like defeat is often the foundation for your victory. When you understand this, you stop seeing setbacks as the end and start seeing them as preparation. You begin to recognize that God doesn't waste pain, he doesn't waste failure, and he doesn't waste time. The very thing that knocked you down is the same thing he'll use to lift you higher. So when life pushes you back, don't panic. Remind yourself that every setback carries the potential of a comeback. What looks like the end of the road may just be the curve that leads to your breakthrough. The pain of the pull is only proof that something greater is about to be released in your life. When you start looking at somebody else's life too long, you will forget how powerful your own story is. Comparison is a thief that sneaks in quietly and steals your joy, your focus, and your drive. The moment you start scrolling through someone else's highlight reel, you begin questioning whether our journey is good enough. But here's the truth. Your story isn't supposed to look like theirs. Your timeline was handcrafted for you. The things you are facing right now, the lessons you are learning, the battles you are fighting, they are all part of your unique path. If you waste your energy comparing, you will miss out on the blessing sitting right in front of you. Everybody wants the success they see in someone else, but what you don't realize is that you don't know the price they had to pay for it. You don't know the tears they cried when nobody was watching. You don't know the nights they lay awake, wondering if it would ever work out. And yet, you are sitting there thinking your life is less valuable because it doesn't look like theirs. That's the trap. You think you want what they have, but you don't see the hidden struggles behind it. God didn't create you to copy someone else's assignment. He created you to walk your lane. When you compare, you start rushing yourself. You start panicking, thinking you are behind, when in reality, you are right on schedule. Just because someone hit their breakthrough at 25 doesn't mean you are late if yours comes at 35. Just because somebody built a business in 2 years doesn't mean your journey taking 10 years makes it less worthy. Sometimes the longer road builds a deeper foundation. Sometimes God slows you down on purpose so you will be stronger when you arrive. Comparison blinds you to that truth. It makes you feel small when in reality your path is building something great inside of you. Think about it. When a seed is planted in the ground, it doesn't sprout the next day. Some seeds take weeks, months, or even years before they break through the soil. And nobody judges the seed in the ground for taking too long. It's understood that growth is happening where we can't see it. Your life is the same way. Just because your breakthrough hasn't surfaced yet doesn't mean it isn't developing underneath. Don't let the sight of somebody else's blooming tree make you feel like your seed is worthless. Your season is coming. The worst thing comparison does is it makes you undervalue your blessings. You will be sitting in your house with food in your fridge, clothes on your back, opportunities around you, but you will scroll online and feel like you have nothing. That's the lie comparison sells. You start overlooking the very things you once prayed for because you are distracted by someone else's life. Gratitude and comparison can't live in the same heart. One will always push the other out. When you choose gratitude, comparison loses its grip. The more you compare, the more you lose sight of what makes you unique. Your gifts, your talents, your perspective, nobody else has them. You can imitate someone else all day, but you will never outdo them at being themselves. The power is in you being authentically you. The world doesn't need another copy of somebody else. The world needs what you carry. And if you spend your whole life comparing, you will rob the world of your true greatness. Every step you have taken, every scar you have collected, every lesson you have learned, that's part of your journey, not theirs. You can't measure your path with somebody else's ruler. Stop comparing and start walking in the confidence that your story is unfolding exactly the way it's meant to. There's nothing scarier than stepping into a place where you don't know what's coming next. The unknown has a way of shaking people because we like control. We like to know what tomorrow looks like, how the bills will get paid, how the relationship will work out, or how the dream will finally come together. But the truth is you don't get clarity at the beginning. You get faith. Faith is trusting God in the dark when you don't see the light yet, when the map isn't drawn out, and when the answers haven't come. The unknown isn't meant to paralyze you. It's meant to stretch you. Think about it. If you knew every detail of your life before it happened, you wouldn't need faith and you wouldn't need God. You just walk around on autopilot, never really depending on him. But life doesn't work that way. God allows the unknown because that's where trust grows. When you are walking down a road and you can't see 10 steps ahead, you have got to lean on him for direction. And when you do, you start realizing that even though you can't see it, he's already gone ahead and prepared the way. The unknown also reveals what's inside of you. When life is predictable, it's easy to be calm, easy to be faithful, easy to smile. But when the unknown shows up, when the job isn't secure, when the doctor doesn't have answers, when the doors you wanted to open stay closed, that's when your faith is tested. That's when you find out if you really trust God or if you just trust your understanding. The unknown pushes you to let go of your limited vision and cling to God's unlimited wisdom. So many people miss out on blessings because they refuse to step into the unknown. They want certainty before they move. They want a guarantee before they try. They want to see the whole staircase before taking the first step. But life doesn't work like that, and neither does God. If he gave you every detail up front, you wouldn't grow, you wouldn't risk, and you wouldn't learn how to depend on him. The you known as the very place where miracles happen, where doors open that you didn't even knock on, and where strength is built you didn't know you had. The unknown is not empty. It's full of God's possibilities. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean nothing is happening. Behind the scenes, God is moving, arranging, and aligning things you wouldn't even imagine. That's why you can't panic when you don't know what's next. If you trust Him, the unknown won't destroy you. It will develop you. What feels like uncertainty to you is just part of God's plan that hasn't been revealed yet. Sometimes God purposely keeps things hidden until you are ready. The unknown is like a classroom where you are being prepared for the next level. He doesn't reveal everything because if He showed you the full picture too early, you'd either run from it out of fear or mishandle it out of pride. The unknown is protection. It's God making sure you don't step into something unprepared. And while you are worrying about what you can't see, God is shaping you for what you are about to walk into. So instead of fighting the unknown, embrace it. Every unanswered question is an opportunity to trust deeper. Every closed door is a reminder that God sees what you can't. Every delay is proof that timing matters more than rushing. The unknown isn't a curse. It's a stage where God proves He's in control. Trusting Him with what you don't know is how you discover peace in the middle of uncertainty, courage in the middle of fear, and hope in the middle of confusion. When life starts weighing heavily on you, it's easy to forget the battles you have already survived. You get so caught up in what's happening right now that you overlook the storms you have already come through. But if you just stop for a second and think about everything you have faced, you will realize you have got a track record with God. He didn't bring you this far to leave you, and the fact that you are still standing is proof that you have already been carried through things you didn't think you'd survive. Think back to the nights you cried yourself to sleep and woke up the next morning still breathing. Think about the times you were broken and you thought you'd never be whole again, yet somehow you are still here. Those moments weren't by accident. Those were God's fingerprints all over your story, showing you that when you couldn't hold yourself together, He was holding you. You didn't make it through those seasons because of luck. You made it through because grace carried you. You remember when you thought you weren't going to make rent and the money showed up just in time? You remember when the doctor gave you bad news, but you are still living and breathing today? You remember when you thought that heartbreak was going to kill you, but now you can look back and see it only made you stronger? Every single time you thought it was over, God stepped in and reminded you it wasn't. You have already been rescued more times than you can count. The problem is when a new storm shows up, your mind immediately forgets the victories behind you. You start doubting, panicking, and wondering if you will make it this time. But the same God who pulled you out before is the same God who's working right now. He didn't change His character just because you hit another challenge. If He did it then, He can do it now. You just need to remind yourself of the history you have with Him. Your testimony is the evidence that He's been with you all along. Look back at the scars you carry. They are not there to remind you of pain. They are there to remind you of healing. Look at the closed doors you once cried over. They are not losses. They are proof that God was guiding you towards something better. Look at the times you felt empty and weak. Those moments showed you that His strength was made perfect in your weakness. Every memory of survival is a reminder of His presence. You are not new to this. This isn't the first time you have been knocked down. This isn't the first time you have questioned if you'd make it. But here you are, and here's the truth. You have been through too much to believe God would suddenly stop now. You have got evidence from your own life that He shows up right when you need Him most. That evidence should fuel your faith. That memory should push you to keep going when everything inside of you wants to quit. Every time you doubt, pause and remind yourself, I've been here before and I made it through. You might not know how He's going to do it this time, but you know He will. You might not see the way, but you have seen Him make a way before. And that memory is what should give you confidence in the middle of your current storm, because you have already witnessed that His hand never leaves you. Sometimes the loudest voice in your life isn't from the outside, it's the one in your head. And too many people are defeated not because of what others say about them, but because of what they keep saying about themselves. If every day you wake up telling yourself you are not good enough, not smart enough, not capable enough, eventually you will start living like it's true. But the moment you shift that voice and start declaring that you are strong, that you are chosen, that you are blessed, something inside of you begins to change. What you eat consistently over your life has the power to shape your reality. Think about it. Words create an atmosphere. When you walk around saying, I'll never get out of this situation, I'll always be broke, nothing ever works out for me, you are building a prison with your tongue. On the other hand, when you walk in faith and speak words of life, you are building doors of opportunity before you even see them open. Words are seeds, and the harvest you reap depends on what you plant. If you plant doubt, fear, and negativity, you will get a field full of weeds. But if you plant faith, hope, and courage, you will reap strength and blessings. This isn't about pretending life is perfect. It's about speaking truth and faith into the middle of the storm. You may be struggling right now, but instead of saying, this is the end, you say, this is temporary. I will come out stronger. I will not be defeated. When you change your language, you change your perspective. The storm doesn't shrink, but your faith grows big enough to walk through it without breaking down. The right words give you fuel when everything else is trying to drain you dry. And let's be real. Life has enough people ready to criticize you, doubt you, and count you out. You don't need to join them by tearing yourself down. You have got to be your own biggest encourager, your cheerleader, your reminder that God has his hand on you. Every morning, instead of replaying yesterday's failures, start declaring today's possibilities. Say, I am chosen, I am favored, I am equipped for this. It may feel awkward at first, but the more you speak life, the more your spirit starts believing it. Don't underestimate the power of daily declarations. It's not just self-talk, it's aligning your words with God's promises. If he says you are the head and not the tail, above and not beneath, blessed and not cursed, then why are you still repeating the lies the enemy planted? The power of life and death is in the tongue. That means you can speak victory or defeat over yourself with the words you choose. So if you want to shift your life, start by shifting your language. Even in your hardest moments, your words can be the difference between sinking and standing. When you feel weak, instead of saying, I can't do this, declare, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. When fear creeps in, instead of saying, I'm scared, declare, God has not given me a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Your words carry weight, and when you speak life, you are not just encouraging yourself, you are activating faith that moves mountains. You can't control what people say about you, but you can control what you say about yourself. You can't stop negativity from knocking at your door, but you can choose not to let it live in your house. The words you speak over yourself become the atmosphere you live in, and the atmosphere you live in shapes the life you walk in. That's why every single day you have got to choose to speak life, to call out the greatness inside of you, and to declare that your best days are still ahead. You can't rise high if you are constantly surrounded by people who pull you down. The truth is, the company you keep shapes your mindset, your habits, and even your future. If you are hanging around people who constantly complain, gossip, or settle for less, eventually you will find yourself absorbing that same energy. But when you place yourself around people who encourage you, challenge you, and believe in you, it ignites something inside of you that pushes you to grow. The people in your circle either drain you or fuel you, and you have to decide which energy you are going to allow into your life. Think about it. When you share your dream with someone, do they say, that's impossible, you will never make it? Or do they say, go for it, I believe you can do it? That difference in response has the power to either crush your momentum or amplify it. You don't need people who clip your wings when you are trying to fly. You need people who hand you wings so you can soar higher. The wrong voices can drown out the vision God put in your heart, but the right voices will remind you of what you are capable of. Sometimes the reason you feel stuck isn't because you lack talent or opportunity. It's because you are tied to people who are comfortable staying stuck. If the people around you are afraid of growth, they will want you to stay at their level. If they are content with mediocrity, they will resent you when you push for more. But when you are with people who are climbing, their momentum rubs off on you. Being around winners doesn't just inspire you, it challenges you to rise to the standard. The atmosphere you live in daily matters. Imagine trying to plant a seed in rocky soil. It won't grow. But put that same seed in rich, healthy soil and it flourishes. You are that seed, and your environment, the people around you, is the soil. Toxic environments choke your growth, but uplifting environments make your potential come alive. That's why choosing your circle isn't just about friendship. It's about your destiny. Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with someone. Do you leave feeling drained, doubting yourself, and discouraged? Or do you leave feeling hopeful, motivated, and ready to take action? That's the test right there. People who truly care for you will push you to see the best in yourself, not constantly remind you of your flaws. They will challenge you to heal, to grow, to stretch, and to keep your faith strong even when life gets tough. Sometimes it hurts to admit that the people closest to you aren't the ones lifting you higher. But growth requires tough decisions. It doesn't mean you stop loving them. It just means you stop letting their negativity guide your path. You owe it to yourself and to the purpose God put in you to be intentional about who gets access to your energy. Your future is too valuable to be influenced by people who don't see your worth. When you surround yourself with people who lift you, you start believing in possibilities you never considered before. They speak life when you are silent. They remind you of your strength when you forget. They won't let you settle when they know greatness is in you. And the truth is, sometimes you don't even need a crowd. You just need a few solid people who see you, who get you, and who want to see you win. Your faith will not grow without being tested. Anybody can say, I believe, when life is smooth. But the real question is, what do you do when storms show up? It's easy to trust God when the bills are paid, when your health is good, when doors are opening left and right. But faith is not proven in the sunshine. Faith is proven in the darkness, the fire, the pressure, the waiting seasons. Those are the moments that expose whether your faith is shallow or solid. A tested faith is what separates those who only speak belief from those who live it. When life shakes you, you find out what's rooted inside of you. If your faith is only surface level, the first storm will blow it away. But when your faith is deep, when it's anchored in God, storms don't break you, they strengthen you. Testing seasons reveal whether you have been building on sand or building on rock. That's why sometimes God allows the very thing you prayed wouldn't happen to happen, because he's not punishing you. He's proving you. He's stretching you to show you that your faith is bigger than the situation in front of you. Testing doesn't just expose what you believe, it develops you. Just like a muscle has to be torn down to grow stronger, faith has to be stretched to increase. You cannot have unshakable faith without seasons that shake you. When you go through trials, you discover a side of God you would have never known in comfort. You learn that he is not just the God of blessings, but also the God who sustains you in the valley, who holds you when life hurts, who carries you when you don't have the strength to keep walking. Your faith will be tested through delays. God won't always answer right away. Sometimes he will make you wait longer than you want, not to deny you, but to build endurance in you. Waiting seasons test whether you trust his timing or demand your own. And when you make it through those delays, you learn that God's timing is perfect, even when it doesn't make sense to you in the moment. Your faith will be tested through disappointments. There will be moments when doors slam in your face, when people you counted on walk away, when prayers you prayed don't get answered the way you thought. That's when the enemy whispers, "See, God forgot you." But testing forces you to stand on truth instead of feelings. It pushes you to believe that rejection is protection, that what feels like a loss is often a setup for something greater. Disappointments reveal if you trust God's hand even when you can't trace his plan. Your faith will be tested through battles that feel bigger than you. Giants will stand in front of you, mountains will block your path, and storms will rise against you. It's in those impossible moments that faith speaks louder than fear. You may not have the strength, but faith reminds you that God is your strength. You may not know the way, but faith reminds you that God makes a way. You may not have the answer, but faith reminds you that God is the answer. Testing isn't meant to destroy you. It's meant to push you into a deeper dependency on him. And when your faith passes the test, you come out different. You don't just come out with the blessing, you come out with a testimony. You come out with a stronger trust, a deeper confidence, and a greater resilience. You come out knowing that storms don't scare you anymore because you have seen what God can do. You come out with the kind of faith that doesn't just talk about God, but lives as proof that He is real, that He is faithful, and that nothing you face is bigger than Him. Sometimes the hardest part of the journey is the last stretch, the part right before everything changes. That's the point where you feel worn out, drained, and ready to throw in the towel. The enemy knows how close you are to stepping into what you have been praying for, so he turns up the pressure, he brings distractions, he is to make you believe it's not worth it anymore. But what you don't realize is that many people quit just moments before the door finally opens, just before the blessing shows up. That's why you have got to hold on when it feels impossible, because that's often the sign you are on the edge of something great. Think about it. The seed fights the hardest when it's about to break through the soil. The caterpillar struggles the most before it becomes a butterfly. The darkest part of the night is always right before the sun comes up. Your life works the same way. That pressure, that resistance, that overwhelming feeling isn't proof that you are failing. It's proof that you are getting close. What if the very thing you have been waiting for was right around the corner? Would you still give up if you knew the answer to your prayer was one step away? You have been carrying dreams, visions, and prayers in your heart for years. You have endured the waiting, the rejection, the nights of crying, and the days of silence. All of that wasn't wasted. It was preparation. God didn't bring you this far to leave you stranded. When you feel like giving up, that's when you need to remind yourself of why you started. You didn't fight this long just to quit on yourself now. You didn't go through all that pain just to let it die right before the blessing is born. Some of you are sitting in the middle of that test right now. The bills are piling up, the job applications haven't come through, the healing hasn't manifested, and the relationship hasn't turned around. You are exhausted and questioning if it's even worth it anymore. But let me tell you, the enemy attacks the hardest right before God reveals His hand. The reason it feels unbearable right now is that you are closer than you think. That wall that looks so unmovable might crumble with just one more push. When athletes train, the final rep is always the toughest. That's when the muscles are burning, the body is screaming to quit. But that last rep is where the growth happens. Your spiritual life is no different. The fight is fiercest right before the growth, right before the increase, right before the breakthrough. If you give up at that moment, you rob yourself of everything you have been working toward. It's not about how many times you have fallen. It's about how many times you get back up. That extra ounce of faith, that extra prayer, that extra step in the right direction could be the key that unlocks the next season of your life. Too many people quit at the finish line because they let their feelings talk them out of their faith. But your feelings are temporary, while your breakthrough is eternal. You have got to keep pushing even when it feels like nothing is happening. Don't let the pressure fool you. Don't let the silence convince you. Don't let the delay trick you. What looks like the end is often the beginning. What feels like failure is often the setup for victory. Right when you are ready to give up, that's when you need to dig deep, because the moment you are about to quit might just be the moment God was about to shift everything in your favor. Sometimes the weight of pain feels unbearable. It makes you question if there's even a point to keep going. You sit in silence looking at your life, wondering why you had to go through certain things, why people walked away, why doors closed, and why prayers seemed unanswered. But what you don't see in the moment is that your pain is not wasted. That pain is a tool God uses to shape you, to prepare you, to make you stronger for the very thing He's building in your life. What looks like destruction is often construction, and what feels like breaking is God molding you into who you were meant to be. You have got to realize pain is a sign that growth is happening. Think about it. Every breakthrough in your life came after a season of struggle. Every testimony you have was birthed through a test. When you look back at what you have endured, you will see a pattern. The pain wasn't random. It was purposeful. It stripped away the things you didn't need. It taught you lessons you wouldn't have learned any other way. And it gave you the strength you didn't know you had. The enemy wanted that pain to destroy you, but God is using it to develop you. The hardest part about pain is that it blinds you in the present moment. It makes you feel like it's the end, like nothing good can come from it. But God sees beyond the moment. He sees the bigger picture. That rejection you faced wasn't to crush you. It was to redirect you. That heartbreak you felt, it wasn't to leave you broken. It was to clear space for something greater. That delay you are in, it's not to punish you. It's to position you. What feels like pain right now is part of the setup for the promise God already has written with your name on it. Some of the deepest wounds you carry are the very things God will use as evidence of his power in your life. That's why you can't let your pain make you bitter. You have got to let it make you better. People may have hurt you, but that doesn't stop God's plan. Circumstances may have tried to hold you back, but that doesn't cancel your destiny. Your pain is not bigger than your God. Every tear you have cried, he saw it. Every night you wrestled with doubt, he heard it, and he's not going to let that pain go to waste. Think about the times you thought you wouldn't survive, and yet you did. That alone is proof that pain doesn't define you, purpose does. God has already brought you through things that should have broken you. So if he allowed you to go through this season of pain, it means there's something on the other side of it that's worth it. It means he's preparing you for something so much bigger than what you can see right now. The pain is temporary, but the purpose is eternal. It's easy to focus on what you lost, but you have to shift your focus to what you are gaining. You are gaining resilience. You are gaining wisdom. You are gaining depth. You are gaining a level of faith that only comes through struggle. Without that pain, you wouldn't have the capacity to handle the blessings God is about to release into your life. He's stretching you because he knows what he's about to pour into you. So when the pain feels heavy, remind yourself that God's plan is still at work. You may not understand it right now, but that doesn't mean it's not working for your good. Just because it hurts doesn't mean it's the end. It means you are in the middle of something bigger. The pain is part of the process, but the promise is on the way. There are moments in life when it feels like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. You pray, you cry, you fight, and yet the answer doesn't come when you expect it. That's when discouragement tries to creep in, whispering lies like it's over or God forgot about you. But here's the truth. Hope is not about what you see right now. It's about what you believe is still possible. When you trust God completely, you stand even when you can't see how things will work out, because your faith isn't in the circumstance. It's in the one who holds the circumstance in his hand. Hope is powerful because it's connected to faith. The moment you lose hope, you give up on what God is still able to do. That's why the enemy attacks your hope so aggressively. He knows that if you stay hopeful, you will keep believing, you will keep praying, and you will keep moving forward. And when you stay in that posture of hope, God can show up and do what only he can do. Never forget, hopelessness is a tool of defeat, but hope is fuel for your